Yo, what's up? We're going to talk about WWDC 2018 and all the stuff that happened there in more detail than me talking into a camera while driving home from work. And, you know, podcast for this, the Read and Entertainment Podcast episode that is going to talk about all this shit. It happens to take place on the second day of E3. So that's kind of not. Let me just be frank here. No one gives a shit about WWDC as much as they give a shit about E3. Let's just be real honest here. Especially whenever WWDC opens like this, like it does every year, with Apple jerking themselves off. You know how it goes. Look at how cool we are. We're so down to earth. We're definitely not, a massive evil corporation just like everybody else. Anyway, let's move on to something that people actually give a shit about. Oh, wait. There's this one other thing here.
Develop anything that they can imagine with their code. We want more people to learn the power of code.
And then he goes on about this bullshit with Swift playgrounds and how Swift is a great language. Lots of people like to use it, all that bullshit. But what I love about this big push that Apple in particular is making, a lot of people are being like, oh, everybody got to learn the code and all that. Apple wants you to learn the code so you can make them more money. They just got done saying that, oh, we paid out developers $100 billion. That's cool and all, but how much did you guys make off of that, huh? How much did you guys make off of all the hardware that people had to buy just so they could write software for your fucking devices? Huh? Yeah. Just find that kind of funny, that's all.
Today is all about software.
I love that he's just getting it out of the way right now, that you are not going to see any new Macs, any new iPhone shit, any new HomePod shit, any new iPad shit. It's all just updates to the shit that you already own. And in a way, I'm being cynical. But in a way, it's kind of nice just to know that they're going to put a whole whopping 2 hours into just what they're updating. I mean, that's neat. But at the same time, where the fuck is the new Mac Pro, you old piece of shit?
Now, it's easy to forget now, but iOS pioneered this approach of helping you get more out of the device you already own through free updates.
Oh, all right. Okay. I guess we're just going to ignore Windows service packs. Like Windows XP added Bluetooth support in one of its service packs. It added WPA support in Service Pack 2, along with a lot of other shit. What are you talking about, dude? That shit was in 2004. That was 3 years before the iPhone even got announced. Listen, Tanny Smile Boy. Just what are you doing? What are you doing here? Shut up.
iOS 11 supports devices that were introduced as far back as 2013, like the iPhone 5S.
I hate to keep bringing up Microsoft, but the Xbox 360 was supported for 11 years, and Windows XP was supported for 14 years. Why don't you stop fucking jerking your fucking boss off and just get to the point, Fishman?
You'll see that apps launch up to 40% faster. The keyboard can come up to 50% faster, and you can slide to take a photo at up to 70% faster. ShareSheet coming up twice as fast, and apps launching twice as fast.
That's pretty cool and all, I guess, but how do they manage to get all that power?
We ramp up processor performance instantly to its highest states, delivering high performance, and then ramp it down just as fast to preserve battery life.
Oh, so instead of making your software less of a bloated hunk of shit, you're just gonna make the CPU go really, really fast as possible. That seems like a valid solution.
We have a lot to cover today, and it starts with augmented reality.
All right, just in case any of you forgot to go to the bathroom before the keynote, go ahead now.
See, I can easily measure along this suitcase by just tapping and dragging out a line like that.
You know, it's funny that Apple started out this keynote with saying that they're the best place to make money on mobile development, and they totally just put like 30, 50, maybe 100 developers out of business with this app.
Of course, I can see the guitar here, but wouldn't it be cool if I could see it in the real world, in its real size? Well, there it is. Check that out.
So I'm just gonna take this moment to ask, does anyone else give even a fraction of a flying fuck about AR? Like, am I just an outlier here? Is everyone really this excited about AR? Because it has never been exciting to me. Ever. Like, there was some stuff back with the PlayStation Vita that seemed kind of cool, but then whenever you actually see it in action, it turns out to be disappointing as hell. Like, they're talking about right now, oh, they're the biggest AR platform. What does that even do? How useful is that? Whenever all you're doing is just putting a shitty render of a guitar on a table. Like, I sincerely don't understand the value of this. And I really don't understand why Apple is putting so much time and money behind it whenever I have not seen any AR experience that is useful in any way. Like this is nifty, but like, who has a table this big? Who has a table this large that you're going to be able to do any of this shit in? It's similar problems to what happened with VR. What is wrong with VR? In that you need so much space to be able to use it effectively. Except you not only need a lot of space, but you have to rely on your phone to do everything. It's just bad and dumb, and I don't get it. And this next part is, I was offended that I was supposed to think that this was neat.
Got a situation, I'm gonna need your help over here.
Okay, I've got a fire truck.
Perfect. You put out those flames while, oh dear.
Like, what is the appeal of this? Who is this for? Why is any of this being done with a fucking video camera pointing at a table that, like, none of this could not more elegantly be done if it was just a 3D environment in a video game setting, like with a camera and all that shit. Like, what are you doing? And these guys are walking around with fucking a charger plugged in. Like, what is a kid supposed to, like, plug in your iPad, Billy, if you're time to play with your Legos? You're gonna walk around with the fucking charger plugged in, moving the thing around just so you can see anything at all. Like, it looks awkward and stupid. And what are you doing? What are you doing, Lego? What are you doing, Apple? No one gives a fly. Is that Obama?
And photos is the best way to relive and share those moments. This year, we're making photos even better, and it starts with search.
We just took a whole bunch of features that Google Photos has had for a long time and put those in the search function. Next!
And now in iOS 12, we have an all-new tab. It's called For You.
And yes, this also is just more stuff that we ripped straight from Google Photos.
And next, let's turn to Siri. Now, Siri is by far the world's most used digital assistant.
You notice that he had to say most used because it is nowhere near the most advanced.
With shortcuts, any app can expose quick actions to Siri. Let's look at some examples. Now, say you have the Tile app because you're always losing your keys. Well, the Tile app can expose the option to add a shortcut to Siri. You can assign your own phrase, such as, I lost my keys, would be a good choice. And when you then say it, Siri will automatically activate tile and show you right in the Siri UI, start ringing your tile just like that. It's really great. Of course, there's so many uses for this kind of thing. You could say game time to get your team's schedule from TeamSnap, or help me relax to kick off a meditation, or order my groceries to order your usual.
Now, at first glance, this seems like a really awesome new feature, and it is. It is a pretty cool feature that basically takes the workflow app that Apple bought a while back and turns it into a system feature, and that's really neat. But the problem I have with it, along with a lot of other voice assistant type functions, is you have to remember all these phrases. And here it goes into like, oh, Siri can suggest that you add a shortcut to do this thing if you do it every day. That's all neat. The problem is that you still have to remember the exact phrase that you use to tie into that thing. And while it's not too hard to go, I lost my keys, or order pizza, or whatever, it could end up being kind of complicated if it's for a particular app that you want to get something done and you can't remember the exact phrasing that you use whenever you set up that shortcut. Also, not gonna lie, it's kind of sad that this is the best that they've got to add into Siri, because it really isn't doing any additional processing. It's just taking whatever phrase you attach to that action. This isn't much better than a keyboard shortcut. Siri had such potential. And it's basically just a zombie now.
Record my custom phrase, travel plans. And I am done. So now, when I land at the airport and I'm about to get in the cab and I could really use that hotel address, I can just say, travel plans.
Kayak says, your hotel is at 929 South Broadway. You can check in after 3 p.m.
And you see, that's all great. That's cool. But at the same time, what if you forget what that phrase was? What if you forget what travel plans is? What if you land and you're tired, you're jet lagged, you get in that taxi or whatever, and you go, fuck, what was it? Whatever. And then you just open the app and that's it. Also, by the way, you check this shit out. It's literally the Workflows app. It's kind of amazing. Like, this is exactly what workflows look like. But just what are they doing? Why can't it just be, hey Siri, where's my hotel? Hey Siri, when can I check into my hotel again? You know, that kind of thing. But we haven't gotten there yet, I guess. And this is the best we've got, is just hotkeys, vocal hotkeys.
Next, let's talk about apps. And to tell you about the latest, I'm going to hand it off to Susan.
I'm excited to tell you about some great updates in some of our most popular apps, starting with one of my favorites, News. News shines on the iPad. We've completely rebuilt the Stocks app. We're bringing Apple News to Stocks. With iOS 12, we're bringing Stocks to iPad. We've also completely rebuilt voice memos, and we're bringing voice memos to the iPad for the first time. We think that iBooks is the best way to discover and experience ebooks, as well as audiobooks.
Oh no. No one thinks that.
With iOS 12, CarPlay will also support third-party navigation apps. So now you have even more choices when you use CarPlay.
See, you might have noticed I didn't have anything snarky to say about that. That's because I'm fucking happy about that, because that was the worst thing about CarPlay was Apple Maps.
Do not disturb during bedtime, where all you'll see is this. In the morning when you wake up, you're gently eased into your day. You can tap when you want to start confronting those notifications. You can set an ending time for Do Not Disturb for when you leave a particular location or when an event ends on your calendar. So I think we're all going to be using Do Not Disturb a bunch more.
This is part of this weird new movement that Google talked about during I.O. this year, where for some reason, I guess there's a push to help people not use their phones as much. I guess I understand it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It just seems weird. It's weird that companies are trying to push you to use the things that they sell you less. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. But I guess it's nice to have more control over Do Not Disturb.
And so we're enabling what we call instant tuning for notifications right from the lock screen. You can press in to a notification, and from there you can decide to send future notifications from that app directly to Notification Center, bypassing your lock screen, or turn them off altogether. And Siri will even help by suggesting that you turn off notifications for apps that you're no longer using. Now, we also wanted to give you help managing large numbers of notifications. So I'm thrilled to announce that we're bringing to iOS support for grouped notifications.
Yeah, these features are well worth clapping for. Notifications have always sucked on iOS, and especially once Android started getting a handle on how to treat them better. iOS still giving you mountains upon mountains of random notifications that are all in various order and all that. It just became more of a pain. The talk in here about how you'll get different actions whenever you deal with stacks of notifications and stuff like that, I think it's nice. But, you know, it's still not as good as Android, but at least they're getting there.
Screen time empowers you with both insight and control over how you spend your time. And it starts with reports. Every week, you get a weekly activity summary that details how you used your iPhone or iPad. You tap in and you get to view your full activity report. It's really detailed. You get deep insight on how much time you're spending, where you're spending it, and even how your use breaks down during the day or the night. You get a summary of the time you're spending in apps, how much time you're spending, how often per hour you're picking up your phone and what's drawing you in, and what apps are sending you the most notifications. So if in your activity report, you see an app where you might want to be spending a little bit less time, well, you can set your own limit. And then during the day, when you're using the app, you'll receive a helpful notification letting you know time is almost up.
I'm gonna go over all this while he yammers on about how you can use the same features to keep track of your kids, since I don't give a flying fuck about that. I think this is all neat. I like having access to more data about my own behaviors and being able to tell myself, hey, just so you know, you've wasted a lot of your life on this completely unimportant thing. I like having all that information and whatnot. I also find it kind of funny that they keep bashing on Facebook during this, very subtly. Subtly? However you say that word, huh? It's 5 a.m. Yeah, it's kind of funny. They say something later whenever it comes to Safari about how they block Facebook like button trackers and stuff like that. They're being kind of shifty on that. I think it's funny.
Messages. Now you can make your favorite Animoji do this. Memoji. Your very own personalized Animoji.
This is what the richest company in the world is doing with all of their money. They're learning how to detect that you're sticking your tongue out, and they're making me's on your phone. They're just me's. Also, the name sounds like something off of, like, 9gag.
FaceTime. Yeah.
That one person going woo perfectly sums up everything I feel about all video chat apps. I never understood the appeal of Skype video calling or Google Duo or FaceTime or the fact that you can do video calling in Discord or I just... Why? Why does anyone care? Snapchat pushed it. Facebook pushed it. Who are all these people doing group video chats in their personal lives? Like, it's one thing whenever it's a live stream. I get that. I get whenever you're on whatever fucking site and you've got a bunch of people. I get it whenever you're like fielding questions from randos or if you're on Omegle or whatever. I don't get it whenever you're just talking to someone. Why do you need to see their face? What difference does it make? Why does this matter to anyone? And why did it take this long to add group video chat whenever that's something that Skype has been able to do for years upon years on every platform it's on? God, what is wrong with the world?
I'm glad you've finally been able to express that side of yourself, Roberto. Hey,
I'm
Tim, is
glad
that you?
to know that you're a furry.
Yeah, it's me. I signed up to help test FaceTime.
I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know.
Right, Apple Watch. Yeah.
Look, the entire first half of the Apple Watch thing is talking about fitness shit, and I'm obese. So, yeah.
Now let's talk about being connected. Introducing Walkie Talkie.
Yeah, you remember how this feature worked out so well for Nextel that it was the only standout feature that they had, and it just didn't make any difference? They got bought by Sprint, and then Sprint shuttered the whole thing? Yay!
And we're also adding Siri shortcuts. Those shortcuts you saw coming to iOS 12 are also going to be available in watchOS. Also, for the first time, you can now use third-party apps on the Siri watch face. So now you can see both relevant content and shortcuts from your favorite apps.
So this is all cool, but keep in mind you have to actually use the Siri watch face to make any of it work, making all the other watch faces a little bit redundant, don't you think? Huh. It's almost like I didn't really think that through. Or maybe they didn't think through the whole watch face thing. Just a thought.
So, for example, with this notification from Qantas, you can check in and share your flight details right from the notification.
Does it blow anybody else's mind that this took this long to become a feature on watchOS? I think Android Wear had this in version 1.0. Jesus, Apple, what are you doing?
Now you have the ability to view web content in mail or messages. You can even tap on that link. Yes, and to easily view things like menus here.
That's actually genuinely a really nice thing. I remember whenever I had my my Sony Android Wear watch, and I was always frustrated by the fact that if I wanted to look at anything on my fucking wrist, I had to hit open on phone. It's really obnoxious. God, I haven't slept in a while, so just, yeah.
Next up is Apple TV.
Hey, I needed a nap.
Next up is the Mac. At Apple, yeah.
Oh,
We love the
oh,
Mac.
something actually.
The Mac was the
Dark mode.
Oh God, how fucking sad is it that people are cheering and clapping over being able to change the colors in your fucking operating system? Oh my God.
A desktop that looks something like this. And so now in Mojave, we have a really great solution, and we call it desktop stacks.
Isn't this basically just smart folders, but they're showing as stacks instead of folders?
An all-new view called Gallery View. For instance, if I have a photo like this and I want to edit it, I don't have to open it and go or do a new app. I can rotate it right here inside the Finder.
Wait a second. Haven't I seen this functionality somewhere before?
Take a screenshot in the traditional way. I'm going to screenshot a selection of the page, and I want you to watch what happens in the lower right. I get a thumbnail instantly of that screenshot, and when I double click in, I get an accelerated workflow right into markup where I have access to all of my tools. But we've also added screen capture for video right into screenshotting.
Well, there went 10% of the apps on the Mac App Store.
I can choose to take a photo. And I want you to watch what happens when I select this to my phone. It automatically, immediately lights up, ready to take a photo. So I can take one like this. And when I do, I can select Use Photo, and it appears directly in my document. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, continuity still is one of the best features of being part of the Apple ecosystem. Windows does a lot of things nowadays to try to compare, but it just can't. Man, if only they hadn't, completely abandoned the Windows Phone thing. Oh well.
We are bringing news to the Mac. Home is coming to the Mac as well.
So, yeah, I skipped over the part where also they're bringing stocks and the voice memos app to Mac. This all comes together later whenever he talks about the homogenization of the platforms, professionalism. And yeah, that's basically what this comes down to. They're homogenizing everything.
And all of this is protected by default for any app that you run on the system.
Apple's still pushing that whole security is important thing, which I can't go against by any means. I think it's really cool. And it's kind of important that we have somebody that is running things that doesn't sell your data to make money.
These like buttons and share buttons and these comment fields, well, it turns out these can be used to track you, whether you click on them or not. And so this year, we are shutting that down.
Yeah, you remember how I said that they were shitting on Facebook? Here's another case of them shitting on Facebook. They really don't like Facebook.
With Mojave, we're making it much harder for trackers to create a unique fingerprint. We're presenting web pages with only a simplified system configuration. We show them only built-in fonts. And legacy plugins are no longer supported, so those can't contribute to a fingerprint. And as a result, your Mac will look more like everyone else's Mac, and it will be dramatically more difficult for data companies to uniquely identify your device and track you.
Yeah, this is still really good stuff. It's unfortunate that it's going to be all shoved into Safari, so, not a lot of people are really going to use it, but hey, at least somebody's trying.
We are turning our attention to the Mac App Store.
See, the reason that person screamed is because, holy shit, the Mac App Store has been the most ignored and trashy looking piece of Mac OS for so fucking long. It has just been this wart sitting in Mac OS doing nothing, never being used by anybody that I'm aware of. Like, why would you ever buy games on there whenever you can buy them on Steam? Why would you download apps on there whenever there are better apps available on the internet? And also the UI is fucking garbage. So, really glad it's getting some attention, finally. It's all part of the homogenization thing, though. We'll get back to that eventually.
Starting with the new Discover tab, where each week you can find in-depth editorial about the best Mac apps through stories and collections, and see what's most popular with top charts.
Popular. But yeah, this is something that we really, really needed on Mac OS. I mean, I'm not gonna pay $50 for fucking DJ software on the Mac App Store, because I don't even run Mac OS on my laptop anymore. But if I owned a Mac, I'd be pretty happy about this.
Microsoft, who will bring Office 365 to the Mac App Store later this year.
What a fucking weird world we live in, huh?
Are you merging iOS and macOS? So I'd like to take a moment to briefly address this question. No, we've taken some key frameworks from iOS and brought them to the Mac. And we've adapted them to specific Mac behaviors like use of trackpad and mouse, window resizing, integration of things like copy and paste and drag and drop into the system services on the Mac. Now, phase one of this effort is to test it on ourselves. So this year in macOS, we've taken some of our own iOS apps and we've brought them to the Mac using this technologies to make sure it works well. You've actually heard about several of them earlier today.
See, I told you this would come back. Yeah. So basically, they're not wanting to destroy the Mac platform. They just want to take all the iOS shit and put it on Mac OS, which I think isn't a bad idea. There are a lot of apps that only get developed on iOS that would work perfectly well on a desktop system. And they're just not put out there because, hey, where's the market share, right? So if you can have just unified market share, why wouldn't you? Microsoft figured that out a long time ago. That's why they have the UWP thing. Problem is they don't have as much of a stranglehold on developers as Apple does. So I think this will work out a little better whenever it comes to Apple. But guess we'll see.
We wanted to celebrate you and the amazing work that you do. So we went out and talked to some of the most important people in your lives, the ones that know you the best. And we made a short video, and I'd love to run it for you now.
Developers, 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 developers. Yes!
I love that video.
Yep, that's it. That's the whole thing. Oh boy. Man, I thought last year's WWDC was bad, but this year was, you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of... iOS 12 will probably be alright. I'm glad that they're, trying to do something to make it less of a slow hunk of dog dookie. Oh, man. I just wish that I could go back to Android without hating every single day of my life. But, that's just how it goes. Oh, man. I am so fucking tired. Why did I wait until 4 o'clock in the morning to start doing this? And now it's 6:45. And I've got a podcast today to record. And fucking E3. Anyway, at least I made good on this. I'll see y'all later. Like, share, subscribe.